On Used Bike Heaven this week we meet Mike McCabe, who's looking for a second bike. We'll have another featured used bike, some legal advice and another riding tip. This is Mike McCabe. He's a coach operator from Salford. Mike currently owns a Honda Blackbird but is keen to buy a second bike. He quite fancies the traily style, so we have 3 of those for him to try.
Hello and welcome to this week's show, and I have Mike with me. Now, Mike, you currently own a Blackbird, don't you?
Yes.
So what are you looking for today?
A second vehicle, second edition.
Right, okay. So what would you use that for then?
Weekends and commuting during the week.
Yep. Playing?
Playing about, yeah.
Do you like a bit of a play?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right. So what's your budget?
Between 5 and 6.
Right,
1,000.
okay. Well, that's good because we've got 3 bikes for you today that hopefully you're going to be interested in. We've got the Triumph Tiger, that's 5,700. We've got the Aprilia CAPONORD, that's 5,600. And the Honda Africa Twin at below your budget, which is unlike me, at 4,100. So what do you think of these to look at?
They all look good.
Do you like the off-road style?
Yeah, the stylings look good. I don't want to go off-road.
Yeah.
I don't want to play about in mud or stuff, but I do like the style of it.
Yeah. Have you ever been on anything like this?
No.
Oh, right, so it's going to be very interesting.
Yes.
Very different to your Blackbird as well.
Oh, totally different.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to let you have a spin on them.
Good.
So before we do let you loose, we're going to go to Paul, who's going to give you some facts and figures.
Lovely.
Okay?
Our first bike this week, Mike, is Triumph's Tiger. This particular model first appeared in 2001, although the Tiger traily has been around since 1992. It uses a 3-cylinder 955cc motor. It's fuel injected and develops a healthy 105 brake horsepower. This bike, Mike, is from 2001 and it's seen just 2,200 miles. It is, however, the most expensive of this week's trio at £5,700. Next we have something just a little bit different, Aprilia's ETV 1000 or the CAPONORD. A 997cc 60-degree V-twin engine provides all the torque you'll ever need. This bike is from 2001 and is showing just 1,200 miles and could be yours for £5,600. And finally, how about something cheaper? Honda's XR-V 750, the Africa Twin. The motor is a 742cc V-twin. The cylinders are actually set at 52 degrees. This bike is from the year 2000, but wait for it, it's covered 37,000 kilometres, and it's looking a little bit the worst for wear. It's the cheapest though at 4,100.
Well, there you go, Matt. That was Paul with a few facts and figures. We're going to set you off on the Triumph Tiger.
Yep.
What do you think to the looks of this one?
They're quite good.
Yeah.
Quite good, yeah.
Yeah, it looks fun to ride, doesn't it?
It does. It looks a nice bike.
Brilliant. Well, it's a 3-cylinder, so it'll feel a bit different for you, and it might feel a bit odd because there is a wing mirror missing, but we'll throw that in if you decide to go for this one.
Oh, good.
So you get your helmet on and go off and see what you think.
Okay.
Okay. So while Mike has a play on the Triumph Tiger, we're going to Paul with this week's used bike review.
If we ever have a biking hall of fame containing names of famous motorcycles, then what would we put in it? Well, we'd probably put the Fireblade in it, wouldn't we? We'll always remember that name, the Blade, even if they never make another one. As far as Yamaha goes, then it would probably be their top sports bike, the R1. What then about Suzuki? Well, perhaps the GSXRs, the 600, the 750, and their current bike, the GSXR 1000. On then to Kawasaki. Well, if you think back to the 70s, it'd be something like the old Z650s, 900s and the big Z1000. But much more recently, it would be one of these, a Ninja. Make no mistake, this is one very, very fast motorcycle. Kawasaki have worked their socks off in trying to make the ZX-9R a worthy contender in the world of super sports bikes. Back in 1998, it had a complete overhaul when it was given not just a new chassis and suspension, but a completely new engine with bigger valves to help it develop more power. The wheelbase was also shortened slightly to help sharpen up the handling. And the updates have continued ever since with further tweaks to the engine and the frame, and it now sports a smart-looking titanium silencer, replacing the old black end can, which apart from looking rather nasty, weighed an absolute ton. It really is a top sports bike, and I love it to bits. Now, the name Ninja first appeared actually in 1994, and it appeared on a ZX9R, which this is, as I'm sure you've realised. A year later, they stuck it on their ZX6R, and then a year later again, in 96, they actually introduced a ZX7RR, again carrying the name Ninja, but it was the ZX9 which was the original. This, as I'm sure you know, is not a 1994 bike. This is actually a year 2001 bike, which makes it an E1 model ZX9. But it's changed massively over the years. As we'd expect, the weight has gone down. The original one weighed in at 215 kilos. This thing tips the scales now, would you believe, at 183, which is only a touch heavier than their own 600cc Ninja. But while the weight's gone down, of course, the power has gone up. And this thing now claims 144 brake horsepower. Oh yes, please. The truth is that when it comes to performance, the ZX9R is spot on, and it's capable of giving any top sports bike a run for its money. Handling wise, it's probably fair to say that it's not quite as sharp as things like a GSX-R or an R1, but hey, who cares? This Ninja still has abilities way beyond the reach of 99% of the people who will ever own one. And talking of ownership, you'd be wise to try and find one that's not been thrashed too hard and hasn't spent most of its life on the back wheel. One like this, which is a 2001 bike with 6,800 miles under its belt and is in absolutely pristine condition, would sell in a showroom today for perhaps a touch over £5,000. As I've said, this engine has done less than 7,000 miles, so it's not really done any work. There shouldn't be too much wrong with that. But I can tell you that some high mileage ZX9Rs sometimes suffer from what sounds like the big ends going. It's not. They sound like a box of nuts and bolts. It's not. Very often it's the cam chain tensioner that's gone. The spring goes weak, and that's what it is. It sounds awful, but it's not that bad. So if you've got a noisy one, it's worth having that checked out. It will cost you about 70 quid for a new one. Might not be the end of the world. When you're looking at a used bike, you need to look for signs that it has had a careful owner. And there are one or two signs on this. Down on the swing arm there, the brace across the swing arm has got some sticky back clear film on it. Now the owner has put that on to protect it from stone chips, because the stones get picked up by the treads and they get flicked off as it's back on the way down, and he's put that on to protect it. So quite thoughtful. And then he's gone one better and put a colour matched rear hugger on to protect it completely, and it looks nice as well. He's done the same down at the front on the bottom of the fairing as well. So this is a one owner bike, but all the signs would be that it's had one very, very careful owner. And that's my kind of used bike.
Well, thanks for that, Paul. And while you're away, Mike returned with the Triumph. Mike, what did you think?
It's very good actually. It's surprised me.
Yeah.
It's very smooth for selling, considering it's only 3 cylinders.
Yeah. So power delivery then?
Same again. I wasn't expecting Blackbird power, but it is quite good. It's a good pickup. It's smooth.
Is it quite torquey?
Yes. Yeah, the power delivery is quite even throughout the range.
Yeah. And handling? You know, how's it round roundabouts?
The handling is good on roundabouts.
Do you get to chuck it
turns
about?
in quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
It does what it's supposed to do. Whereas some bikes are heavy, this one's quite good. It's light, it turns quick, so you can take it straight out of the roundabouts. It's good.
So it sounded like you were having a bit of fun then on this.
It was relaxed mode. It was okay. It was
Good.
nice.
Good. And so, I mean, style-wise, we like this one.
Yeah. The colour and that is good. It's striking. It's not too much.
And it's British. Does that make a difference?
Yes, it would. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's one good thing then. From British to Italian, if you come this way. What do you think of the looks of this one then? The Aprilia CAPONORD.
It looks quite good.
Yeah.
Does look good. Yeah. I've never ridden a V-twin before, so.
Right. Okay. Well, it'd be very interesting to hear what you think then. So you go get your helmet on and let us know. Okay. So while Mike puts the Aprilia through its paces, we're over to Paul and Chris and some biking legalities.
Well, this week we're looking at visors, or looking through visors, Chris. 3 different visors here, all visibly different. Tell me what's legal and what isn't legal here.
Okay, well the easiest one is a straightforward clear visor. Got to be marked BS approval with a XAYAZA stamp on there.
Say that again in English. It's a mouthful,
It's got
isn't
to
it?
have a BS stamp on it.
Right, fair enough, yeah.
Okay. All it boils down to is minimum light transmissions. Okay. Now, basic visor, you can go down to 75% of the light available coming through it. Okay. You can go down to as low as 50% if it's a smoke visor. Again, BS stamped, but it's got to have on it for daytime use only.
Right.
Okay.
That's legal then, yeah? That's fine, yeah?
Anything
Okay.
below 50% at the moment is illegal.
Right.
Okay. Now, a standard dart visor like this one would probably come in about 20%, something
Right.
like that.
That's got no stamps on it, no marks,
Yeah,
nothing.
so it's illegal to start off with because it's not stamped, which none of them are because they know they're all illegal.
Right.
I know
Okay.
the legislation is going to change. They haven't said exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be down to about 20 to 25% minimum light transmission, as long as it's obviously stamped up,
Right.
marked up for daytime use only, and you're carrying a clear one with you.
That's the thing, isn't
That's
it? It's
gonna
a
be the
common sense, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You've got to have a clear one because you never know when the sun's going to go in. So what's about this one then, Chris? This is a clear visor, stamped up, but it's got a reactor light type screen inside it.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the thing with the cars, you know, the hot hatch cars where you start off with your clear windscreen side windows, then the kids put on the smoke sticker.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Right.
It's okay, but as soon as that goes dark, if it goes below the 50% minimum light transmission, then that is going to make it illegal.
So that could make that legal visor into an illegal visor.
Yeah.
But you'd have to test that in its fully reacted
darkest
state, if you
format,
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you'd be unlucky to come up against a policeman, wouldn't you, that's got all the testing gear on his bike.
You would. There aren't many what we call
So-
tint man kits about.
So that's a bit of a grey area, that really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? But on a day like today, I mean, outside today, it's lovely and sunny, a dark visor is probably the safest, I think. You must agree with that, yeah?
I would have to agree with it.
Yeah.
Although that is currently illegal.
Yeah.
For instance, in South Yorkshire, we've actually had occasions where we've dealt with collisions, and we can say that the guy has probably had the collision because he was dazzled by bright sunlight and he's had a clear visor on. So the argument therefore could be, well, had he had a dark visor on, would it have improved his vision? I know from my personal point of view, on a racetrack of course, that in sunlight like this, riding with a dark visor can actually improve your vision, so you could therefore argue it's a road safety aid, which is why they're looking at changing
So
legislation.
why the law is going to change. Right,
Yes.
what's the penalty then? If you get pulled on the street with that on and say you've not got a clear one and you're breaking the law?
Yeah, more than likely a fixed penalty, £30 non-endorsable, but potentially a level 2 fine, £500 if you're
£500?
That's
For
what
wearing a
legislation
dark-
allows.
That could have happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm off now and I think I'll put this one back on.
So that's it for part one. Join us in part two when Mike will be back with the Aprilia and we'll be letting him out on the Honda. And Paul will also be back to give you some riding advice. See you after the break. Hello and welcome back to Used Bike Heaven. Now, if you're with us in part one, you'll know we're with Mike, who currently owns a Blackbird, but he's looking for a second bike. So we sent him out on the Triumph Tiger. He liked that, no problems with that. Then we sent him out on the Aprilia CAPONORD. And I don't know what you think yet, because you're going to tell me.
Right, not impressed.
Right.
It's not my cup of tea at all. The power delivery was, well, it just sounds lumpy.
Sounds
Doesn't
lumpy. Does
feel
it
like
feel it?
it feels lumpy. It just feels like everything's not together, but that's just my opinion.
Not something you could get used to then?
I wouldn't like to get used to it. It just doesn't feel right to me.
Right.
Too used, I mean, compared to the Triumph, smooth, lovely, everything.
And it's 5,600, so it's not far behind the Triumph. So it's at the top end-ish of your budget.
No, I wouldn't even consider this one.
Oh, so we're down to just 2 out of the 3 then?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, let's move on then.
Okay.
And we'll go to the Honda. Now, you are a Honda man,
Yes.
so you might like this. It's
Yeah.
cheap compared.
Did I say it looks it?
It does look a little bit used, doesn't it, really,
Yeah,
to be
but-
honest? But, I mean, you may fall in love with it.
I know.
Who knows? You know, you could spend a bit of time on it, couldn't you? You've got the
It's
extra
not a problem.
cash.
Not
Yeah?
a problem.
So, have you, I mean, you've not been on one of these, obviously.
No,
You've not ridden
no,
it.
no.
But
First
it's
time
another-
again.
Another V-twin, so we'll see if you like this one, because I'm not going to rule you out as a V-twin man yet. You just didn't like that bike.
No,
so.
it's just that particular engine, whatever
Okay.
that was.
Do you like the looks of this one, though?
Yeah, it's simple. It looks the business.
Right.
It looks more together rather than this looks a little bit more toyish.
Okay. Well, get your helmet on and let us know what you think then. Okay?
Yeah.
All right then. So while Mike puts the Honda through its paces, we're over to Paul, who's going to give you some riding advice.
Thank you, Fran. Now, if you open any motorcycle riding manual, you'll see something written called the limit point. It talks about the limit point. Some people call it the vanishing point. So what is the limit point? Where is it and what does it mean? Well, it's the limit of our vision. It's as far as we can see down a road. Now, if you look down here, we've got a left-hand bend coming up. We can see that. It's pretty obvious. The limit point is the furthest point we can see, and it's where the two verges meet. The tarmac actually appears to come to a point. So that is the limit of our vision. Now, the limit point is moving all the time as we're getting into the bend. As we're going further down the road, the limit point was further away. Now, we can actually make it appear further away by approaching the bend at different parts of the road. And we've spoken in the past about if we approach a left-hand bend on the left-hand side of the road, near the verge, near the pavement, if you like, our vision round the bend is limited. So if we were to approach this bend on the right of our lane, towards the crown of the road, the limit point would be further away. Now, as we get into the bend, that limit point is moving. If it gets further away all the time as we're approaching it, it means the road is opening up. Obviously, it's opening up, so the limit point's getting further away. So generally, we can accelerate. If it appears to be coming closer and coming closer at a fair old rate, then the road is tightening. That bend is actually tightening. That's telling us we're probably going too fast. We need to slow down. The ideal scenario is that the limit point stays at the same distance away from your bike. So if you're going round and you're looking at where the two verges meet, that's your point. If it stays constant, generally speaking, you're going at the right speed for that bend.
Well, thank you for that, Paul. And while you were away, Mike returned with the Honda. What did you think?
Yes, this is okay.
Good.
The power was nice on it, even though it is a V-twin.
It's a V-twin, Mike.
Yeah, but it felt totally different than the Aprilia.
Really? Why do you think that is?
I haven't got a clue.
Me neither.
There's two of us on that one.
Yeah?
No, it was a lot smoother. There's less vibration. It was smooth. It's easy. It's not a fast or large torque on it,
Yeah.
but it was nice.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable. Steering's light on it again. It's good in corners around the roundabouts.
Braking,
It
everything?
was okay.
satisfactory?
Braking was fine, yeah.
Yeah?
Not much else.
So that's pretty good
Good
then.
riding position. The seat's not as comfy as the other two.
It doesn't look it, does
No.
it? To be fair, no.
So a million miles, you're probably going to get a bit of soreness, but...
And what did you think? I mean, you know, looks like the actual styling
The
of this
looks is
bike.
okay. I've seen this around a long while. These are always good for protection, especially winter riding and stuff.
Yeah. Did you find the deflection good, Win, on this one?
Better than the other. You get not bad protection from it. Yeah, it does curl it over you.
I mean, obviously you're upright, aren't you? So you're always going to
yeah.
get some wind.
Oh, you're going to get
stop all
some,
that.
yeah, but it does tend to send it round you, so
Yeah.
it's not a problem. It's been thought out. I'm not too keen on the dash. The trip meter is not to my liking. It just looks like an afterthought.
Looks a bit dated as well,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Like we were saying about the
Yeah,
Aprilia.
like
Yeah.
an old Cortina or something.
Yeah. Ooh, those old Cortinas are going to have you. So, yeah, but I mean, overall then, you know, it's...
Overall, it's quite good. It's nice. It's good handling
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Nicer than the other two, or...
Nicer than the Aprilia.
I thought you might say that.
Yeah. As good as Triumph.
Right.
It was. I mean, it's maybe the difference. It has a 21-inch front wheel on this, so we'll give it a little bit better handling.
So, is there one of these then that suits your needs? But don't tell me too much.
Yeah.
There is. Right. You're a man of few words when you want to be, aren't you?
You don't need many.
No. Well, we're going to go to Paul, who's going to give us a recap, and then we need to know what you think.
Right.
Okay.
So, Mike, will you take the Tiger at £5,700? You said lots of good things about it. Smooth motor, comfy ride and well put together. Sounds very promising for the Triumph. Or will it be Aprilia's CAPONORD at £5,600? You found it comfortable, but you didn't like the plastics. So maybe you'll take the cheapest Honda's Africa Twin at £4,100. You did like the engines, but you're right to be a little cautious about the condition of the bike. It does seem to have had rather a hard life.
So that was Paul with the recap, Mike. I know which one you haven't chosen, but which one have you chosen?
Which one?
Yeah.
The Triumph.
You like
If.
you like to wind me up, don't you? The Triumph.
If there's a wing mirror put on it.
Yeah, we'll get you one of those put on. It's not a problem.
sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So this is everything you're looking for then, as your second bike,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
remind me
Even
again.
though it's a little bit more than the others. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks worth it though, doesn't it?
It's worth it. It's smooth. It's well put together.
Yeah,
It sounds well. It looks well.
yeah. You
Most-
seemed happy when you got off it.
Yeah, it was a good ride.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Nice
fabulous.
machine. More so than that thing next door.
Yeah, I knew you wouldn't go for that one, funnily enough.
No.
But it is 5,700, so we're not at the top of your budget, so obviously you're happy. But I mean, it's the most expensive of the bunch.
Yeah, but it's made at home and it's an old name.
Absolutely.
A new company, but an old name.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you're happy then.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Another satisfied customer. We'll see you next week on Used Bike Heaven. You gonna give me a backie then?
Go on.
Oh, no, get me on.
And on next week's show, we meet Les Bellingham, who's looking for a winter commuter bike. We'll have more biking legalities, another featured used bike, and some more riding advice.